Misfits are taking a page from the Rogue book. A lot of AD carries banned and taken away, and that means the Aphelios will go into the hands of Bvoy, one of his most successful picks.
Yeah, Aphelios continues to be kind of the high priority first pick as soon as Senna and Kalista and Syndra are removed, so teams consistently reaching for this champion, so it should be pretty obvious to Rogue here. So what do they want to take into the champion? Grabbing the Sett, still a flex pick, even if we don't have necessary tape of it. And Hansama's going to roll the dice again.
He's so determined to make this work. I remember splits where we had to wait like weeks on end, half a split before we got to see the Hansama Draven. But he's just pulling it out every single time he gets the opportunity. Makes sense. Aphelios has been hit in the laning phase pretty hard over the last couple patches. But they are just going to grab himself the Aphelios. Tahm Kench trying to get that safety on the bottom side.
Yeah, immediately respecting the fact that you're against a Draven. Now you're either going to pick up a jungle pick or you're going to have a very safe blind flex pick. If you assume that that's a Sett top, you could try to go for the Aatrox. I know that DanDan and Fen are really comfortable on either side of this matchup.
Ooh. Question is, do you flex the Sett around? Something else we're going to have to keep our eye on. But last time we saw this matchup, I do believe that DanDan pulled very far ahead. But that Kled might indicate a different story. It might just be that support Sett.
And this would be a trap then laid for Rogue. You show the Sett. It's actually a support Sett. It has flexibility. You lure them into a false sense of security to pick up the Aatrox. Everyone has played either side of this matchup, and then boom, Finn pulls it out. The one-trick Kled that has Grievous Wounds built into his kit that has a really good matchup into Aatrox.
Huge engage tool. Dashes right in. Tahm Kench swallows the Aphelios. He thinks everything's fine. And then suddenly, the support Sett out of nowhere grabs that fat catfish and just dunks him right back into his own team. That's the dream scenario for Rogue I keep seeing in my head, Froskurinn.
Yeah, so we'll keep our eyes. If it is going to be Vander's Sett, it could still technically go to Larssen. Hell, for all we know, Larssen could pull a Doinby and decide to take the Kled into the mid lane.
I hate when pick bans are like that. I love players like Doinby. I love G2 from last year. But it makes it impossible to know literally anything until the 20 seconds are left in pick ban. Good thing is, bans are coming out. LeBlanc, Gragas, at least limiting some of what we'll see here.
Yeah, again, taking away really strong blind picks like the LeBlanc. We'll see if they actually pinch the Azir. It feels like both teams feel confident letting the Azir go through because both Larssen and Febiven can reach for the Zoe, can reach for the Corki to answer into a long-range champion. And then also focusing on the jungle pool. Ooh, makes the Azir even easier for Larssen here to grab.
Maybe just trying to set up for the run back on the old scaling matchup in the mid lane. The old Azir Corki.
It would give their composition some of that late game scaling that they need since they are running with like a Draven Kled right now.
Now I see though, Rogue I think most likely to pick their jungle here. Can just go for blind Azir. Obviously going to be a solid pick. They've taken the Zoe and the LeBlanc away. I think just expecting Febiven to go for the Corki in response and giving Inspired the luxury of last pick, something I'm not very used to seeing, but given the Gragas and Sejuani are banned away, it does make some sense.
So Jarvan is really high priority right now for Rogue, I feel, just because outside of the Azir sec and the Kled ultimate, they don't really have reliable engage, and I think that's something that the comp is missing, which is why I really like the Gragas Sejuani bans, because that's something that those two champions get. So maybe they're holding off on just snap grabbing the Jarvan until they can for certain see the jungle matchup and feel comfortable there for Inspired. Because I mean, maybe he gets really confident and tries to run his ult off.
Maybe. I think Jarvan for the opposite side isn't incredible. There's a lot of ways to interrupt the EQ in there. Obviously, the ulti is very good against the Draven, a champion who naturally lacks an escape, but not nearly as good against other champions. Misfits really taking their time on this one. Want something powerful enough early to slow down some of the picks that Rogue have taken out, and it is the Trundle. Okay, I respect it.
I mean, not a lot of options left. Also a really good dueling and skirmish jungle for the jungle pool kind of left open and available. The thing about Trundle is that he actually has decent gank access onto bot lane, at least when he's played in the LPL. So even though it's like an Aphelios Tahm Kench into Draven Sett, there, I guess, is that potential that you could try to punish Draven Sett or step forward. And we said it was going to be an aggressive jungler. I called out the Jarvan. It's instead going to be the Pantheon that Inspired showed in his final week of the LEC.
And to be fair, this is a pick we forgot about completely, because when I asked you, I was like, all right, Froskurinn, you predicted all the bans for me. What's the first pick going to be when we were prepping behind the scenes? You're like, oh, it's Aphelios or Pantheon. And then we didn't see Pantheon at all, has slipped through the bans, has been invisible up to this point, but we know what this champion can do. We've seen what Jankos has done with it in these early games, especially when there's aggressive lanes for him to play around. So I feel like if you're Misfits right now, you have to be very nervous about this early game.
Well, yeah, you also look at what the bot lane, Draven, Sett, Pantheon, the top lane, Kled, Pantheon. Like, it's really scary. And the thing is that Rogue seem to only fall apart, at least in this series, when Misfits were able to challenge them, contest them in the lane phase, and start putting them behind. That's how some of the top teams have taken down Rogue. If Rogue, again, get an even map state into mid to late game, that's where they're most comfortable. That's where they're consistently going to be making the right calls. And that's where Rogue fans want to see their team pick up easy wins.
Absolutely do. Let's get right into Game 3. And here we are, right back on to the Rift one more time. Both teams finding their first win of the series over the first 2 games. That means we're on to the best of 3. But Rogue, we're going to cut this one short as they're already getting aggressive here on the level 1, knowing that they're stronger in these early fights. They're looking to assert some dominance here in the jungle.
Yeah, just muscling in. Inspired has the oracles, so we'll see if this is actually where their start point's going to be, if they're just gathering information for Inspired's pathing on where Razork is actually going to start. We've already seen some cheeky attempted level 2 ganks, and I'll say attempted level 2 dives. It didn't go so well the first time around, but we'll check in on Inspired. Because he is on a Pantheon, he does do the Talisman, he's not as reliant on doing kind of buff-to-buff jungle pathing starts. He can start on either Wolves or the Raptor camp or some of these bigger AoE camps and start trying to springboard through his jungle by clearing all of these smaller camps and trying to just be about getting those timers up as quickly as possible rather than being reliant on the big buffs.
See,
and
it looks like it is
the start.
Exactly, as predicted, Froskurinn will be the wolf start here. Sett and Draven making their way to the bottom side of the map. They are going to be able to get lane priority here, as Denyk and Bvoy have opted to leash instead. So already a small advantage to the bottom side. May not amount to too much quite yet. But we're going to have to see if Razork wants to rear his head there on the bottom side of the map. It might be a bit too early for a Trundle at this stage, given that he has not taken the pillar, but have to see what's going to happen.
And we've seen this jungle path, the one that Inspired is doing, from guys like Jankos and Selfmade. And again, we'll check what he does, but what Jankos likes to do is he takes the smaller camps, so the Wolf camp and the Raptor camp, completely ignores red and blue, and by clearing these timers as quickly as possible, you're maximizing the respawn, so you're farming as quickly as possible and also getting into position for potential dives, which Jankos has done multiple times, like this.
And Kled very good at diving. Obviously, the reset when he demounts on tower aggro could allow them to continue. Razork is running straight to the top lane, though. Looks like he's sniffed this one out, but it's just 2 ships passing in the night. Inspired will be spotted. Razork sees him, and that means he has permission to start up the buff, and this will give Razork a small advantage as he's slightly ahead on his 3rd camp clear.
Yeah, super good communication there from DanDan and Razork. What they probably saw was that Finn was slow pushing or slow stacking a crash into DanDan's tower. And again, this isn't a new play that we've seen in the LEC. Multiple teams have done this before with the Pantheon jungle, so Misfits were able to sniff that one out, pull their jungler, DanDan disengaged from the tower, and averted disaster. So just sacrificing some CS, but not getting dove.
And it's very, very critical that DanDan give Finn that respect, because while Game 1 was very much just like Finn felt very irrelevant, Game 2 was a story of Finn dominance, and now Inspired getting a little bit more aggressive here as Rogue send 3 members down to make sure that they can have security around this Scuttle Crab.
And normally we see this combination with Larssen and Inspired's Olaf, but loving the Azir combo where Larssen gets like perma mid lane priority and then just allows his jungler to bully in the river and swing out into these side lanes.
And obviously you saw on your screen there some of Finn's very disgusting numbers from the previous game, and I like to see that Inspired is putting some attention on the top side now that this matchup isn't nearly as won in Champion Select as the Ornn Pantheon was originally.
So good. Double crab. Really nicely done in terms of Rogue's like first 4 minutes. And this is something we talk to other teams. They say that Rogue's like first 6 to 8 minutes is usually very clean, and that can really decide their games. They usually come in, they always have a clear-cut plan. Yeah, they went for the dive didn't pay off, but Inspired didn't miss a beat. Using wave priority and wave state really well across the map as here's the wrench in the plan, TP.
Big commitments here. Snare's going to come out as well. DanDan now off to the side. Pillar has come in. Hansama now needs to run away. Hansama taken out. That's going to be first blood. They're looking to 2. Are they going to donate both to Bvoy? That's the big question. May give one over to DanDan, but no. Bvoy going to be the happy benefactor of 2 kills on the bottom side.
And the potential for Trundle to gank bot lane is really strong when he's on blue side because of how you can get the pillar behind them. And of course, it was then helped out from a very deep teleport ward. And we said, Rogue, they're the team that has the plans. They have the plans in training, they've got the plans on the map, but you need to disrupt their plans, and Misfits pay off huge here. With all of the changes to teleports, the cooldowns, the fact that there's more gold into plates, the fact that when you actually manage to hit a tower, melee champions can do more damage to it, means that when you do teleport away from your lane and topside, it has to count. Otherwise, you are punished so much harder than you used to be, and it does pay off for Misfits there.
Yeah, despite the fact that we don't see DanDan going for the Ornn, he's still the one making the big team plays. But now Rogue setting up a play of their own. Razork walking right into enemy territory. It's going to be very difficult to kill this Trundle. The pillar can interrupt a lot of the action if Razork is quick on the trigger here. But Larssen coming over as well. Good pillar, the flash through. They're just going to follow through. Bear trap on a rope. Razork going to get pulled back. And the rest of them, that's going to be a quick and easy kill for the side of Rogue. DanDan can't afford to overstep here, but demounting Finn does mean that the dive threat is basically gone.
And not missing a beat, immediately resetting, recognizing that topside camps were going to be up, and then setting a trap there. Larssen also feeling very confident in that trade mid lane, knowing that he has his ultimate, and Febiven probably finger on the flash waiting for it.
Don't want to do the reaction test at this point.
I think Larssen was thinking that he doesn't have TP, and instead of trying to go for the kill and trading flash for flash, which probably, like, that's an option you could have. He's like, I have the wave state in a really good spot, and I can actually punish here by immediately chunking him out of lane and then making a massive CS discrepancy. So 39 to 58 you can see right now. And that's just kind of like the epitome of Larssen as a player. Like, maybe someone like Perks or even Febiven, if they're the Azir, they go for the insect, they try to trade flash, try to get the kill. But Larssen's like, another day. Like, I'm here to win the lane, I'm not here to kill you.
And that advantage is doubled on by the fact that not only is there that CS discrepancy, it's a tier first for Febiven. And while we saw how much damage he could dish out, we heard Ender explain the build from the analyst desk, it still puts it's not the sheen, right? His trading is going to be significantly weaker as a result of this item. While he can spam, he's going to be doing a lot less damage here. So
yeah, it's sacrificing the power curve early for the power curve later on. Was that the charge? Where's Kled?
That was the charge, but I believe Aatrox interrupted it. Now, Larssen going in. He was waiting on that ultimate. He is going to use it. He's going to knock him right back. Inspired going to find that one. He can block all the damage coming out from Febiven, but now DanDan looking for the 1v1. Then gets the extra movement speed as long as he chases. He's very close to remounting. Pocket pistol. Not going to get used. We'll use it on the wave. Can clear a few more minions, and here comes the remount. What a fun champion to lane against in Kled. Right back to the dive threat being alive.
At least the skill expression on Kled is better than on some of the champions. Meanwhile, Bvoy and Denyk do manage to tap a plate here, but otherwise, the top side of the map is in full control right now for Rogue. They've, since that bot lane teleport gank, have made sure to really punish Razork. Inspired living in his jungle right now and making the most off of Larssen's mid lane priority on Azir.
And you'd love to see it. One of the things we praised Rogue for was the fact that they had the strength to play through multiple lanes, that they could go where they wanted to go, and the second bot lane takes a hit, they just shift to playing around topside, and they make everything work out, because now Finn, very comfortable. Larssen, very comfortable. Jungle, very difficult now for Razork. Finn just continues to be a nuisance for DanDan. Very hard for the Aatrox to all in here on the Kled.
Does need a bit of hand holding. No, there it goes. He'll just, what is it called?
Pocket pistol.
Pocket pistol. Why did I want to say rocket pocket?
I mean, no, yeah.
It sounds so much better, though.
Fine, rocket pocket. It's rocket pocket. It's not a gun he pulls out. It's just a rocket. It's fine. The Skins team, we're generating gold for you here. That's all I'm saying. People would be all about the rocket pocket.
I've got ideas. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Where are we?
All right. I mean, look, it's game 3. Gold is slightly in favor of Rogue, but I feel like the second the game slows down, as we witnessed last game, it's just more and more in Rogue's favor. Now, not all of the scaling picks are there this time around for Rogue, but I just their execution last game was so flawless. I have a hard time doubting it here in game 3.
And nothing's really spiraled out of control outside that initial gank. You know, it's not like that gank went down for a Draven that really makes the most of a snowball. It went into Aphelios, who, you know, he'll like that one, but it's still going to be quite a bit of time before he really comes online. Well, you can see healthy CS lead. The really aggressive matchups haven't worked out for Hansama and Vander. It felt like they took like the Draven Thresh into the Kalista Taric. They now have the Draven Sett into the Aphelios Kench, and they can't manage to really crack these 2v2s.
Yeah, it does not get easier if Hansama does not get a bit more golden items under his belt, because that is a very easy champion to pillar off, and there's no Tahm Kench to save him. There's no one to bail him out this time around. Sett's only way to save you is to do a lot of damage, which at this stage of the game probably isn't going to happen.
But who would have thought, like, coming into this matchup that, like, Denyk and Bvoy totally fine holding their own against Hansama and Vander. Like, what you got? Throw some more at us. We've seen the Draven already. Like, next pick.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if Rogue changed their strategy a little bit, because we know Aphelios is a comfort pick. They were willing to give it up here to the side of Misfits to secure some things that they wanted, and while obviously the Sett flex looked good in draft, we haven't really seen it do a whole lot quite yet. Finn, however, on the top side is quite happy to have that Kled counter pick.
Yeah, now while all that did happen, the Rift Herald went down, obviously over into Rogue, so trading Drake for more plates on Finn here, as this Herald will put them all into his back pocket.
Oh man, is Inspired even going to approach? Nope, that's solo gold. That is the most generous act jungler can do.
Close to now a 2k advantage in favor of Finn. That's some pretty healthy buys.
That's almost as much as last game, and he was playing Renekton Ornn last game. Probably the most one-sided matchup possible.
And you have to wonder if maybe Misfits will start changing up the strategy and secure a stronger 2v2 top jungle. Now, obviously harder to do from blue side than red side, where you can be guaranteed the counter pick. But so far, it didn't work out this time around.
Let's see how many more flex picks they have in the bag. Obviously, the Sett doing a lot of work for them in this draft. Maybe they've got something else up their sleeve. And now, finally, we see the pressure from top break through to the point where Rogue can send a lot more attention on the bottom side. And this is going to be very difficult. Pantheon ult is up and available.
Get him, Vander.
Kled has the charge as well. Denyk, I believe he already used the Devour. He didn't know that this was coming. They're just going to retreat anyway, though. Rogue. Hesitation there on pulling the trigger. They get the TP out from DanDan, and they say that's more than enough for us. And they back away.
Yeah, showing some of that slowed down team fighting. Is now we're back to the standard Rogue mid-game, where Larssen's going to get kicked out and start hoovering up every available lane, and Rogue will just kind of constantly be shifting around, grabbing CS where they can, and waiting on Inspired to make plays.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good, once again, that they got a TP. It doesn't really cost them much outside of Kled ult, something they're not necessarily hurting to use in the next few minutes, so see if they can capitalize on that more by making a cross-map play. Of course, 3 minutes until the Mountain Drake is up and available. Not necessarily the biggest objective, but everything counts when you get towards those late game stages.
So look at what's happening right now on the map. It's something small, but it starts to add up over time. Again, Larssen always finds these windows where he's just like maximizing his farm time. He's always out into his side lane. It doesn't matter if he's Tristana or he's Azir, and he's just hard pushing and gobbling up all of this gold. Now, while this is happening, Misfits are trading Larssen off into a side lane for numbers advantage and threatening bot side, but they can't execute on the dive because Rogue are doing so well playing defensive. So as long as Rogue don't die to whatever Misfits are trying to find on the map, if that's a dive on Draven, if that's maybe trying to punish Finn, who's a bit overzealous in the mid lane, then Rogue win because Azir's just getting free gold time.
And yeah, in Larssen's late game, Azir is definitely not something that you want to deal with. And I'm a bit concerned for Misfits' damage output as we get on later. Yes, they have Aphelios Corki, but it's very easy. You see everyone building Ninja Tabby. Yeah, it's magic damage from Corki, still mitigated by the Ninja Tabby. Random's mitigating crit, also going to make that much easier. So if they want to go tanky, it's very easy to shut down most of the damage output that's coming through on this Misfits composition, even if it is slightly split.
It's not the most well-balanced composition. If this was like breakfast, you're missing a key element. You thought you got orange juice and you have like Coca-Cola instead.
Yeah, you got Corki, and that's great, but you picked the only AP champion that's mitigated by Tabbies and Randuin's Omen. So we'll see if they want to go full defensive itemization, what exactly Vander wants to prioritize. I imagine it's Dead Man's Plate, but gotta hope for Misfits that they can find a way to shred some of these targets down as we get later in the game.
Waiting for these teams.
We're chilling, Froskurinn. I think this is
Finn and Inspired were looking for a party, but yeah, Misfits are chilling.
Just looking up.
They were looking at that dive like, do we know where everyone is? No, it's fine. Let it go.
One at a time. And it's slow, it's steady, it's controlled. You always have to respect it because if it's League of Legends that wins you a game, it's League of Legends worth playing, but does not always mean that it's the most explosive.
I mean, this is often the turning point in most series. Whoever wins this, I mean, it's like Captain Obvious, like, is at match point. But in teams that have quite young players in a circumstance like we do, where you're playing from home online, you know, like, the mental game is also the other endurance test when we get to these best of fives, and that is something to always look at with teams with less experience. And Game 3, probably the most important for that.
Yeah, your back doesn't get any more against the wall than being in an elimination series and having your opponent team at max point. If your mental was ever going to collapse, that was the time. That or when Vander comes up, punches you on the face, and looks to get a fight kicked off, because that's the dunk back down on the Tom Kench. Luckily, Bvoy manages to make it out, but here comes the Pantheon Inspired, leaps in, and Razork can't do anything. He's going to steal a bit of resistances, but that's going to be it for now. Now, DanDan looking to turn this one back. Pullback will not come through for Inspired, and Rogue with a clean play on the bottom side.
Yeah, and just no reaction time there from Misfits. Febiven was in base looking for the TP, but it was just over and done with before he even had a moment to react, so he's forced to TP into the mid lane, because meanwhile, yeah, Rogue get all of that, but Larssen, again, just chilling, just farming in the mid lane, and the fact that Rogue are constantly able to find these kills or find these pickups, while Larssen isn't, you know, trading any of his CS time.
I really like the Hoover analogy, because it just makes me think of it's like Larssen's like the soccer mom who's like cleaning up after all the kids. She's like, oh my god, you left your toys out in the bottom lane, you have some minions over down here. Like,
yeah. So Flash Vander, snap grabs them, Inspired's already coming in behind them, and Finn, just for like good measure, is also charging in. Like, if Bvoy didn't think that he was dead as soon as Sett flashed, grabbed Tom Kench, as soon as he heard the charge, he's like, yeah, this one's probably over.
and it's especially bad because it's all telegraphed. The Pantheon ult, the Kled charge, but you're either in position to get out or you're not, and you just have to watch yourself slowly but surely die. Bvoy did the best he could, holds on to both his summoner spells, knew that he was dead, so as you said, doesn't want to commit anything else.
What's the record for most CS at 20 minutes?
You know, that's a great question. Marcus, our stats operator working on the day, we can ask him. Although this is the kind of questions that stats team hates. They're like, dude, I have to search through like 8 databases. This is like the worst.
Okay, then I don't actually need... What my main point is that Larssen is significantly ahead of the clock right now because he's effectively been farming 2 lanes. Like, Febiven has a lot of CS and he's basically on clock, whereas Larssen still comparatively looks like he's smashing him.
This is the kind of game where people are going to look back at Febiven's stats and be like, how did he have a 30 CS deficit? That's terrible. Febiven was getting smashed. It's like, oh, no. Febiven wasn't getting smashed. Larssen was getting donated wave after wave after wave. I don't know how many jungle camps he's taken, but this is... The Azir is going to be a nightmare. And he's already got Ludens. Or not Ludens, rather. He's already got the Nashor suit. He's going to be very close to Ludens soon. And Febiven's still building towards Trinity Force. He has not fully stacked that tier, so there's going to be a big difference in relative power.
Yeah, but as you called it, when Yamato and Ender took us through the build path, it's trading early power, which you're against an Azir, so you're fine to scale for really strong late game power with that itemization from Corki as DanDan again.
Ooh, the flash out. Don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Bear Trap on the rope. That's going to reduce the healing. The Conqueror's already there. Kled hasn't even reset, and Inspired is just now mitigating that tower aggro. That is a broken dive duo, and DanDan has learned it firsthand.
It's not fun. I'm sorry, DanDan. Very well executed from Rogue, though. They have clearly practiced this one a lot, and they're going to keep running that exact same play if it pays off. Now, meanwhile, it does mean that the mid-tier tower falls down, so I guess DanDan was worth something, but traded 1 for 1 is bot tower also falls.
There you go. 2K gold lead for Rogue 2.5 as they continue to extend and pull further and further into the lead. Their Baron taking speed will be very rapid as they have basically 5 damage threats on their team at this point in time, one of them being Azir, who shreds through those objectives.
Yep.
Yeah. Here
Sorry,
we go, Froskurinn.
I was checking the record, and apparently it's probably held by Froskurinn, which means that Larssen's not going to be close to it.
No. Froskurinn, the Lord of CS, if nothing else, as well as Anivia. And now Bvoy doing what he can to hold on to his life. Rogue going to be thwarted there. Bvoy getting a lot of damage down, actually. Well played.
He's trying, though. He took Krugs. He walked to lane, he takes Krugs, and now he's going to farm probably 2 waves here. Then he'll shift down to mid lane. He'll farm those lanes. Like, Larssen's going for it. He's going for the sprint.
Man, we should just watch Larssen POV for the rest of the game.
You see that mid lane wave as Draven's walking to it? How dare Hansama thinks that he gets any of that? Larssen's like, now I have to overextend. Now I gotta take this Gromp. I can't just walk mid.
You're Draven. If you wanted money, you'd kill people. The farm is for me.
Oh
Poor
yeah,
Larssen.
Febiven, you weren't gonna get that.
He's just a man who wants to farm, you know? Everyone else is here to play League of Legends. He wants to play League of Legends at 30 minutes. He wants to work. He's a WoW player at heart, I bet. You know, he just wants to get his raid gear. He wants to scale up. The rest of this, it's all about just, he wants his 6 items. He wants them to look nice and pretty in his inventory, and then he wants to win the game. That's how he wants to play here.
It is really important, obviously, for how Rogue like to play the game. When we were talking about this match and preparing for it, Drakos, we said Misfits are a team that play the other team. Like, it's see hero, kill hero. Yeah, they come in with game plans. Yeah, they have decent fundamentals. But it really is heavily reliant on winning fights and then advancing the chains. Where a Rogue or a team like Origin that play the map. And so Larssen's obsession with CS is really pivotal to that play style because it allows them to set up the map that when they do win those calm, collected, slow team fights, they're able to maximize what they get off the back of it. So while it does look nice in his pocket, it also makes their pressure game really important.
It does. And you can see Misfits getting a little bit impatient here. Throwing down the pillar, trying to catch out Larssen. It was a good play, but Larssen was patient enough on the dash out to make sure he did not get interrupted there by the pillar. And now, Rogue have 5 members stacked up around this pit. They have a 2k gold advantage. They have pretty much every engage tool in the book up and available for them. Good that they backed up there. Razork kind of sniffed the play coming. He throws down the pillar. If he would have caught 1 or 2 members there, it most certainly would have been a started off fight for Misfits.
So the engage will come. Finn is literally cleaning up this wave, and then he's probably going to charge in. Rogue want this fight.
Rogue ready to go. Can't just look into steal and contest. Inspired's going to steal that one away. That's a nightmare. Dunk down in the middle of the team. Rogue, they're so good at these combos. And here we go. That is a clean start. Finn now on the chase. Bear trap on a rope going to be more than enough. Dunks some down, and Rogue, that was the thing of beauty.
And it was really only Febiven that got anything good out of that for Misfits. Rogue came in and it looked, I think it looked worse than it was when all was said and done, but that was some big damage and a lot of people shoved around by Azir. Starts out, the Tom Kinch gets dunked into his team, and then everything gets lined up for Larssen. He's got the Sand Soldiers in front of him. Misfits know that the fight is over. They need to get the hell out of dodge because Azir is in perfect position to rip through them. And again, it's really only Febiven that feels good coming out of that.
Yeah, we look at the gold. Ooh, Febiven dash set to stage. We look at the gold now, 9,300 for Finn on the top side, 9,600 for Larssen. Poor Hansama does not get a kill in that absolute mess of a fight, though, in that pit. I mean, so clean from Rogue to find all of those AoE ults, combo them all together, really make it work. And the fact that it started off with Inspired stealing the dragon as well is most certainly insult to injury, as Febiven might need to be scared here. Vander
Doesn't
on the
have
way up.
Valkyrie.
Oh no. Finn just
yeah.
walking down. If he hits the bear trap on a rope, there's nothing he can do. It's connected. Yeah, he's pulled back. He's dead. Finn now on a rampage. 4-0-2. Rogue set up to take the Baron if they want, but here comes the Pantheon. They just want to keep the ball rolling, keep the fight started. Inspired not quite going the right way there. Good retreat coming out from Misfits to hold on for now. Meanwhile, Aatrox on the bottom side split pushing, and Rogue see their opportunity to start the Baron.
And they can shred through this. You already talked about it, Drakos. They have so much damage on all of their members. And Misfits do technically have Razork there, so could potentially look for the steal. Level 10, level 11. Here's the TP. We'll see what they can get done.
These 4 members. Aatrox on the backside, 4k health, getting lower and lower. They don't have the major ults available quite yet on the side of Rogue. Larssen can try to re-engage here, but they are just going to retreat.
And Corki TP also available, and he spawns in 3 seconds. And Misfits actually do have a mid lane. Oh no, they're teleporting towards the Baron. Oh my god, they're going to burn it.
Oh, they're going to start as well. They know that the opportunity has come through, but Finn has TP. They want to force out Finn's TP. They want to even out the TP advantages.
I don't know about this one.
I don't know about it either, because Finn's going to come in with his ultimate, and he's going to be right on that back line, and things are going to go from bad to worse if they start off optimally. Rogue don't want to continue to do the Baron, though. That's going to be crucial. They just want to look for picks instead. DanDan dashing over the wall, and he'll hold on. Rogue, is it your turn?
No,
turn? Misfits took a turn? Is it your turn?
They don't have the health bars. They just want to get back and take care of their wave. So this is a situation where, I mean, it's very bold. Misfits do force Rogue to respond to them. Maybe they're just like gut checking, seeing if Rogue are paying attention. Maybe they get a free Baron out of that. But that's a situation where, you know, Febiven could have used his TP towards the bot lane. He could have used it on the mid lane. Misfits could have rotated towards the mid lane. Like, there could have been different ways that they attacked the map to secure like pressure control over an area rather than just teleporting directly towards the Baron and running into that objective.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that they traded 1-for-1. They get Finn's TP as well, but they were always going to be at a 1 TP disadvantage in that state, and they've just chosen to have 1 TP on the enemy team versus 0 on theirs instead of 2 versus 1, right? So we'll see if it pays off. Maybe they feel like the Kled TP is significantly more valuable than the Corki TP, but for now, it's kind of just an odd series of play overall. I was really hoping for Rogue to go for the 3rd try, and we would just get it back and forth.
I think again, it shows the difference between these teams and kind of like their mentality and their instinct about how they want to play the game. But we are now at a point where Misfits are confident. They got access back into the Baron pit. They've gotten control over the scuttle grab, so they can at least kind of walk away from that area and feel pretty secure that Rogue can't pull anything fishy there, while Larssen continues to be an absolute menace. Level 16, because again, it's not just the CS he's picking up, it's all of that experience to DanDan's level 13. So this Aatrox isn't going to be a match for Larssen. Febiven needs to come down here and take care of it.
And it's also just such a, I feel like, a difficult matchup with Aatrox, because it's not only the healing reduction, but also the jousting, the dive through, the fact that you can cast it twice means DanDan's really never going to be able to hit the Darkened Blade reliably, outside of maybe that 3rd one. Things going to be difficult, going to be quite miserable, and we'll see if it is, in the end, potentially a death stance to come out, maybe a Maw who wants to mitigate more of this magic damage there for the side of Finn.
And we're now kind of back at this this dance, as everyone's kind of neutralized their side lanes, got them set up even. Dragon's about to spawn. And a trap is being laid. Good ward from Rogue in mid lane.
Little death tango coming through here. Febiven desperately wants to use that packet, but it's not
Vander.
a very long uptime.
Spotted by Vander. Vander, of course, looking for the flank and defensive ult out.
Just trying to buy space. They know Vander's not in position. If Febiven had opted to package in there, his whole team would have just watched him die from the sidelines as the Azir ult would have separated them. But now it's going to be the Ocean Drake started off. Misfits looking for their 2nd, trying to stop Soul Point from coming out. But DanDan's on the backside, and Kled's just diving right in. Big damage as they're all lined up. But Bvoy now trying to fire back. Dunk back down into the enemy backline. Vander trying to buy time, trying to limit what DanDan can do. But Hansama's now cashed in. That's going to be big, big money. Razork running for the hills. Larssen is out to safety, and Finn chasing down DanDan. Pocket pistol over. He's waddling. He's going to get him. He remounts. And now Razork's in trouble.
Larssen's going to TP.
Oh, Febiven's in trouble. I don't even know if he needs to. They should have this
to
easy.
the Baron.
1 auto, big chunk, clean pickup. Now Razork's going to get taken out as well. Ah, I see what you mean. Larssen did TP to start the Baron because he's on Rogue. I thought you meant Febiven.
No, Inspired, it ulted to the Baron, and Larssen stood on base, waited until he was full health, and then teleported to the Baron. Rogue knew as soon as they won the fight that this was going to be the play, and just cleaned Misfits' clock.
And look, they got the 2-man Baron. They know they're completely uncontested. Now they're going to grab the Ocean Drake as well. 7k gold lead for this team, going to turn into 8. The Baron drops. Another Ocean Drake to follow, going to move them up to Soul Point with triple Ocean. I don't want to say that's it for Misfits, but that's damn close.
And a difference in team fighting. You called it at the start of the fight. Yeah, DanDan gets access to a flank potential here to find the side, but that doesn't really mean much. You know, like, the level discrepancy between everyone means that he's not going to do a ton of damage here, and then Larssen actually just starts shredding through the front line. Like, he gets to the side, and he kind of goes just absolute beast mode on them. Blows a couple people up, throws down some ridiculous damage, and then DanDan is just, like, chased off. He was like this obnoxious little Aatrox that Finn then turned and said, all right, you're here.
And this is double cash outs for Hansama is just the ultimate nightmare. He went from behind his allies to now just matching them item for item. Big money coming in.
And he's now in the state where Draven kind of turns into a poke champion, because it's that. You hit a single axe and you do massive chunks of damage. And so it's not really about, like, the 5v5. Like, obviously Hansama has the skill expression that in the 5v5 he'll be able to juggle his axes and output ridiculous DPS. But at this point, like, even if he just hits the single axe and then Larssen has the range on Azir, that's the obnoxious part in tandem with Baron that allows them to siege so effectively.
And Froskurinn, I have good news and bad news for the
What
Rogue
is
fans
it?
out there. The good news is you're probably going to win this game. The bad news is Larssen will not be winning the CS at 20 record anytime soon, because the current record holder in LEC history is Perks at 301, but it was funnel meta. So there's really no beating the record ever again because funnel meta was a thing. So unless we're going to exclude funnel meta, no one's ever going to contest that.
Why must every mid laner bow before Perks? He holds everything!
History just can't, unless we get another funnel meta, no one's ever going to beat that record.
Larssen can't wait.
Except for maybe Ooze, like, but that would have to be international records, right? Rogue breaking open the base quite handily. They're obviously monstrously far ahead. We're waiting potentially for one last desperate gambit here, but oh god, I don't think there's any gambits left. I think Misfits are dead. They may not know it yet, but the dot's ticking, and they are going to drop here in a second.
And they need to find a different strategy. They couldn't contest Rogue in the lane phase. Rogue smashed them in the lanes, smashed them into the jungle. Outside of kind of that clever initial teleport gank bottom, it really hasn't been anything for Misfits. This has entirely been in Rogue's control. And again, when it's a controlled, played by the number, the dominoes are set up, they push over, it's going to be Rogue up every single time.
And remember, Rogue 0-5 after the end of that game one. Misfits showing us new things. It suddenly looked like a Misfits revitalized, rebuilt, you know, suddenly with a breath of fresh life. But now, on the opposite side, Rogue turning things around so handedly in games 2 and game 3. It's like they didn't miss a beat. They adapted to what they needed to adapt to, and suddenly Misfits just looked like easy pickings.
And just reminding everyone that it was their consistency, their strong fundamentals that had everyone toting them as the 4th best team. And unfortunately, with how the bracket has shaped up, they've got a lot of ground to run to prove that they're the 4th best team in the LEC, but moving on to match point and taking down Misfits here is one step closer to doing that.
Finn going to demount here, though. Maybe they can burst him down. Buys a bit more time with the stopwatch, but Rogue should just be the victory lap out. Not very good damage, sadly, coming in from that ult on Bvoy. Heavily nerfed, obviously, after the initial one-shot montages.
Well, to the meat grinder known as Azir, Draven.
Ugh. Yeah, no one wants to step forward into that one. At any moment, Finn could come ulting into their line. Luckily, there's a few more seconds on that cooldown, but Finn has the home guard buff, and he's going to walk forward. Denyk's not going to be saving anybody today. Catfish can't eat himself, but Drahan-sama going to be happy to have another cash in, a little bit more money in the bank. Not even going to get a chance to spend it, sadly, for him, but Misfits looking a bit out of sorts here in this game. Maybe one last fight could be the difference they need, but the gold is just not in their favor. Rogue are too strong. Every single member a massive threat. Big ult coming in from Larssen, though. He has definitely overstayed his welcome. Maybe this is the turning point. Good damage now coming back. DanDan walking forward. The exhaust goes down. Febiven desperately trying to kill him, but they can't. The meat grinder is just too strong. Too many members of Rogue left standing. They cannot find the kill onto Larssen, but that's going to be one more. Bvoy has the healing necessary to get things kicked off. Where's the pillar going to go?
Here he
TP
comes.
now coming in from Rogue. They're looking for the reinforcements. Going to be one more, but Larssen walking right back in. Misfits holding on. They're not going out of this one quite so easily.
The combined power of Aphelios and Corki at this stage in the game stand still, hold their ground, are able to wave clear out of that. They are putting out ridiculous amounts of damage, so you can see that when Misfits play it slower, that they still do have options in their composition that they can fight back. It's just, unfortunately, they're fighting back against a very destroyed map.
I think yes. Earlier when we were critical of Misfits, we're like, hey, they don't always set up their waves properly. Something that Rogue do really well is they set up their waves, so when they win, they kind of doubly win. Now it's not Misfits' fault anymore. Might have been their fault earlier in the game, but their just waves are never going to be in a good state, and their lives might not be either, because here comes the charge. Denyk going to be singled out, bear trap on a rope. Finn going to dash right back out to safety, though, giving Bvoy some due respect for trying to take away Soul Point, and they are going to grab it, denying it and buying themselves a bit more time, but still, Finn constantly pushing forward. Bvoy throwing down turret after turret just to poke down at the opposing team here. But Pantheon coming in, it was a bait. They did eat him out. They're going to try to buy a bit more time, but now Finn can dive right back onto Bvoy. Bvoy desperately trying to retreat, but there's good damage coming in. They can turn it. Now it's the meat grinder turned around. Rogue staying for way too long. The dunk down is coming through, but look at the minions. Look at them pushing in. Rogue are just buying more time because that's going to do it. Hey, if the champions won't work, the minions are going to close it out. Are you kidding me? Misfits, it was one last desperate stand, but no. Getting lower and lower.
The respawn?
Misfits are pulling back. Rogue, do they just try to end, or do they go for the Baron? What a mess of an end.
Come on, it's Rogue. They're going to go for the Baron. Yeah, look at that pig. We know what type of team Rogue are. G2 would have funneled in there. They would have sprinted towards that Nexus, probably not hit it with the satchel.
Too soon. Too soon. Corpse is still warm, Froskurinn. Let's
Okay, so here's kind of the cool thing, though. Rogue kind of made not two critical errors. The first error that they made is in attempting to end the game and not doing it appropriately when they used Larssen's teleport on the mid lane originally. And that meant that they were behind positioning for setting up for this Drake, which gave Misfits the window to even deny the soul point. Now, at this point, though, Rogue are doing the right thing, and maybe diving a little bit too deep, but trying to stall out Misfits, keep them interested while the minions do this type of work onto your screen. But then Misfits minions, at the last second, manage to do them right. And then Rogue, their team, they're like, okay, no, back to the book, get it on script, do Baron, then end game. Like, we got a little bit rowdy the first time around, pulling in Larssen's TP, but this time around, we're going to play it slow, we're going to make sure that everything's lined up, and we're going to take the free win.
And as great as that fight looked for Misfits, as you said, it was just uncharacteristic mistakes of Rogue at this point in the game. Misfits are still very much, or should be very much, down and out. It will still be a miracle if they come back and find a teamfight win here, but I imagine it will start with them having to concede every single inhibitor to Rogue.
They really are going to play this one slow. They're proccing the minions in every single, like, I guess respecting the damage, again, from Aphelios and Corki at this rate is pretty ridiculous. So we've already seen that Misfits can fight back in these team fights.
Well, they just don't really have any true reliable tank here. Even the Sett doesn't really have enough resistance to survive. So mispositioning is most certainly lethal.
Last stand.
Razork getting chunked out, though. That's going to be pretty big. Pillar, that skill to watch. Hanstama definitely taking a lot of damage. He does not have the luxury of a Tahm Kench to keep him healthy. Ulti is up for Bvoy.
Can they do it?
They might be able to do it.
Okay. Rogue now, you can almost like feel like, okay guys, wait for the minion waves to crash. Like, we gotta use every single advantage that we have here, which is just choking and suffocating Misfits out in their base by constantly fighting us and the minion waves. But you can see how much respect they're giving to the ridiculous damage that Misfits comp does this late in the game.
Very true. They have to be careful though, because if they overextend, if they overcommit to a fight, it's very easy for Inspired to ult in, for Rogue to ult towards that Nexus and just end the game.
I mean, the thing is that it's kind of like low risk, high reward though. Like, even if Rogue get wiped here, I don't think Misfits can just run it back. I almost think that, like, the later this game goes, the scarier these team fights get. Like, the more often that the inhibs will respawn and the more chances that Misfits get. Like, definitely backs to the wall, but I actually think that Rogue should gamble here and just try to go for it.
You can't be any more ahead than triple inhibitor and 10k up in the lead. Like, you could argue for 20, but at a certain point, gold doesn't matter.
He wants to buy his last item and teleport back in.
We did say. He loves 6 items. Doesn't even get the Ludens in this game. Just sits on the last chapter. Gets the death cap.
Okay, he's teleporting back in mid.
Okay. What did he buy? He didn't buy anything. That's fine. He just wanted a bit more HP, but now the fight's starting off. A good start for Sett, but Bvoy untouched on the backside. He's just going to start to shred through. Oh, he's got the Severum. He can do a lot of damage, but Larssen just has the side of the Nexus. There's too many members. They can't stop him. Rogue. The desperate gambit pays off, and they close the game out. They don't need to hit the champions when they could just hit the Nexus.
Still, that was a bit... That does show some of the nerves, though. Like, very important game. This is on the cusp. Rogue knew that was their game to lose, but maybe a bit longer than I would have liked. That's nitpicking, but just throwing it out there. Against a Fnatic, a Mad Lions, or a G2, you can't really make those types of indecisive dances.
Definitely true. The good news is the winner here first has to go through OG, so maybe dancing like that could be acceptable. But regardless, I mean, solid game performance overall. We're going to go to a quick break. When we get back, we hear more from the